now. So we are in recording. And so what I want to do first off is, let me see. What am I going to do? Okay, so let's try it like this. Window, and here we go. I believe this will do it. Okay. Okay, so what I did here, y'all, is I just printed out the entire test. And I printed it out to my OneNote because on my OneNote I can write on the screen and whatever, okay? Oh, come on. The pen on this laptop is real, for lack of a better word. So really what I wanted to do is ask you all, and what I think is a good idea, let's kind of go through page at a time to make sure that we're good with these problems. And if there's any particular question that you're not certain about, or you tried doing it and you didn't know what to do, then let me know and we can go through those. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just start like on page 1 and just kind of like, okay, were there any questions? Like I think you guys can see definitely problems 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Were there any questions on, like, say, problems 1, 2, and 3 that you had questions about or you didn't know how to do? And if you do, let me know. And if you don't, then we'll just kind of move on. Anyone?
I'm good with those.
We're good with those? Okay. Let's see. Okay, I just want to double check. Let me see. Let me see. Do it like this. Okay. So then I'll tell you what, if we're okay with 1, 2, and 3, did anyone have any questions on, say, 4, 5, or 6?
Okay, hold on. On number 3, we're just going to use the binomial PDF. All those 3 numbers.
Hold on. Which problem are you talking about?
Number 3, is that the one we're going to use on the calculator, the binomial PDF?
No. So number 3, look what it tells us. It says a restaurant offers a $12 dinner special. It has 6 choices for an appetizer, 13 choices for an entree, 5 choices for a dessert. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
Yes. Okay.
So we're looking at number. And it says a restaurant offers a $12 dinner special that has 6 choices for an appetizer, 13 choices for an entree, 5 choices for a dessert. How many different meals are available when you select an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert? So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, look, how many choices do I have for an appetizer? 6.
6.
What about for an entree? 13.
13.
What about for dessert?
5.
And those numbers, and whatever you end up with, that'll be our answer.
Will be answer. Yeah. Good for me.
Okay. So we were looking at, what about 4 through 6? Did anybody have any questions on problems 4 through 6?
Personally, I didn't.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about anybody else.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on 4, 5, or 6?
No.
No? Okay. So then let me just scroll up again. What about problems, say, 7 or 8? Did anyone have any questions on problems 7?
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay, so we'll do number 8.
Yeah.
Okay, let's now.
Because I remember I'm thinking like right now that it's been a while. It's like, you know what I mean? Like I already know it. It's been a long time since we've done it.
Yes.
So I guess I need like a refresher on it.
Okay, definitely. So let's do number 8, guys, to make sure that we're okay here. Okay, so let's take a look. It says a shipment of 8 microwave ovens contains 2 defective units. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I know I have a total of 8, and I know that 2 of them are going to be defective. So that means that 6 of them are what? Not defective? Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. So now it says, let's take a look at the next part. It says a restaurant's going to buy 3 of them. Okay, so they're going to buy 3 units. Okay. What's the probability of the restaurant buying at least 2 non-defective units. Okay, so we're looking for the probability that x is bigger than or equal to 2, meaning that we're going to buy at least 2. So think about what the term at least 2 means. At least 2 means 2 or more. Okay, so I'm just going to write that down right here. At least 2 means 2 or more. Okay, so when I'm going to do this problem, the first thing I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do my denominator. The denominator, I think, is going to be the easy part. Okay, so what I mean by I think it's going to be the easier part, how many microwaves do we have total? 8. Okay, and we're going to choose how many are they actually buying?
3.
Anyone buy 3 of them? That's right. So my denominator is going to be 8 choose 3. That's the bottom part of my fraction. Now, the top part of my fraction, we're going to say, okay, look, we want to buy at least 2 non-defective units. So we're either going to buy 2 or more of them. So let's see if we were to buy 2. Remember, 6 of them are not defective. So out of those 6, we're going to choose 2. But then that means that out of the 2 defective, we have to choose 1 because we were going to buy how many again?
3.
3, right? Plus, now it's possible 6 not defective, we buy all 3 of them. We buy all 3 from that non-defective group, which would mean from the defective group, which are 2 of them, we're going to choose 0. Okay? What I want you all to see is I want you to notice how I have this here. The only thing I'm going to do, guys, just for sake of making this easy on my calculator, I'm going to put parentheses here, and I'm going to put parentheses here. Okay? I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do this on my calculator. Okay? So one thing I want to mention, guys, is that like right now I'm going to use like an actual calculator type thing, but I want you to realize that when I'm doing this on the app, the buttons that I press are going to be the same exact buttons. Okay? So again, I'm going to stop sharing this because I want to share the calculator app with you guys. Do this. Here we go. And I think you guys can see the calculator now. Okay, so I'm just going to create. Okay, so I'm just going to clear it out. So I want you to remember what we wrote down. Okay, so we had one set of parentheses and another one 6 choose 2 times 2 choose 1. So I'm going to write exactly what I had. Okay, so oops. Go parentheses and parentheses again. I'm going to go 6 math. I need to get to that probability part, so I'm going to go 1 to the left, and I'm going to go down to number 3. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit the number 2. Now on your app, yeah, go ahead.
So you press on math, and then you went to where again?
Okay, so let's start again. So we're going to go parentheses, parentheses, right? 6 math. On the top right, it says PRB for probability.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to go 1 to the left. I'm going to hit my little left arrow button right here.
Okay.
You see, okay. I get to the combination button, which is number 3. So I'm just going to go down right there at 3. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to type in my number 2. Now, guys, if you're on the app and your 2 is kind of like on the bottom, all you need to do is hit the little right arrow button, and that'll get you out of there, okay? And then we had times 2, probability, back to combination. We're going to choose 1, close our parentheses, and then if a plus, and we opened up parentheses again, 6 math, probability, get the choose button. We're going to choose 3 times 2 math, probability, combination. We're going to choose how many now? Anyone remember?
0.
0. Excellent. Perfect. Thank you, sir. And then remember, I'm going to close off both sets of parentheses. And then I'm going to hit divided by 8 math,
2,
right? And we're going to choose it again.
3.
3, right? And I'm going to hit enter. if you notice, I'm coming up with 0.8928, and I'm going to come back to my actual problems. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen right here,
Mhm.
and I'm going to come back. Oops, where am I? Here we go. So let me come back to this part here. I believe this is where we use. There we go. And we came up with like 0.892 and some change. And so if we had to round it off, look at what 0.893, right? When we round it off to, because it's telling me here, round it off to 3 decimal places.
Decimals.
So guys, before I go on, this is what I want to emphasize a couple of things here. So I'm going to erase a little bit of this stuff right here just so that we kind of get an understanding of what was happening. Okay, so in the problem, it said we had 8, 2 of them were defective. So if 2 are defective, that means that 6 are defective. And we were going to buy 3. And we're looking for the probability of getting at least 2 that were non-defective. So what that told me is that either out of the 6 that are not defective, we would get 2 of those, and then we would buy 1 from the defective, or we would get all 3 of them being not defective, and we're not choosing any of the defective. And so because when it said the probability of at least 2, we were only going to buy 3. So we were either going to have 2 from the good group and 1 from the bad, or all 3 from the good group and none from the bad. And then the denominator was, how many did we have total? We had 8, and we were going to choose 3 of them. Does that make a little bit more sense for problem number 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good?
With the calculator, at least, it makes it a bit more easier.
I'm sorry, I just didn't hear you.
The calculator makes it a little bit more easier.
Definitely, it definitely does. It definitely does. Yeah. So guys, again, remember, when I'm doing the individual, like when you guys ask me individual problems, and I do it on my iPad, I use that calculator, and well, somebody texted me from our class. I just want to message them back real quick. My whole point is whether I'm using like the one that I just showed you guys right now, and I know some of you have a calculator like that. Like I know Gilbert, you have a calculator like that, and there was somebody else who had asked me that. I think it was maybe when we were doing test 1, and somebody else had even asked me. They had sent me a picture of their calculator. So, an actual calculator, guys, or you're using the app like I do when I do the videos on my iPad. The way you press the buttons is going to be exactly the same. Okay, there's not going to be any difference. So good. I'm glad that we got that one taken care of. Let me ask you a question. What about problem number 9? Did anyone have any questions about problem number 9?
Let's see. Oh, no.
We're okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No.
We're good so far?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I saw Melanie put nope, so I know she's good on number 9. Okay, excellent. Let's see. So then, guys, let me scroll a little bit more if we were good. Number 9. What about number 10? Anyone have any questions about number 10?
No.
That one was easy.
Easy. Good. Good.
That one you just add and subtract from 1.
From 1, right?
1.
That's right. So we know that the whole thing here, has to add up to 1, right? So when we add those numbers up, whatever we end up with, we're going to take 1 minus whatever that answer was.
Yes.
And at here, that's the number we're going to plug in right there. Yeah. So good. Guys, the what I mention is that I think I told you there was like 33 questions on the review, right?
Yeah.
On the test, there's 15. One of those questions came directly from here. The only thing that ever changes, right? So I'm going to make this up. I'm going to come back to this problem here. And suppose I gave you problem number 8 on the test. The only thing that's going to change, honestly, like if you had number 8 on your test, the only thing that's going to change are those numbers right there. Right? So my whole point is if we could do number 8, and then we change it to 7 microwaves, 3 defective units, buying 4 of them or something like that, we could still do the same problem, right?
Right.
On the
Okay.
page, that one, because I might have to review that one. If
Which
you
one?
set it up wrong on the one that the number 8,
Uh-huh.
if you set it up wrong, that's it. You get the answer wrong.
Yeah, I
Put in
mean,
the-
that's,
can I
yeah, so
review?
this right here, this problem
Uh-huh.
came out as 4.
3.4. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Excellent question. Okay. So guys, let's take a look. What about problem number 11? Did anyone have any questions on problem number 11?
Me, sir. 100.
Okay, so
No.
let's do problem. Okay, so guys, I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. And again, the first thing I really want to mention is I'm going to look at these numbers right here. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull up my calculator right now because we're going to use our calculator to do this particular problem. Okay, we're going to use our calculator problem. Yes, we should answer your question. It is being recorded, and I will post it up to YouTube when we're done. So don't worry, you hadn't missed very much already. Okay, so guys, so let me stop sharing this because I'm going to share my calculator again. Let's see, here we go. Go back over here, bring this guy up. And okay, so you guys can see the calculator again. I'm going to just clear out my screen. What I'm going to do, so you might want to look at your particular the problem that we're doing right now, number 11. And you know what? I'm just going to ask you to give me 1 second so that I can show you what it is I'm going to do. Let me turn it on. I'm going to go to Stat. I'm going to edit my lists. I don't know if I have anything in here. I don't. Okay, so I'm good. So in the problem that I had just put up right now, we had 2 sort of rows going left and right. One of them was the number of dogs, and the other one dealt with the probability. So I'm just going to start entering those numbers in. Notice how I hit 0, and then I can either hit enter, and then go to 1, and enter, 2, and enter, and 3, and 4, and enter, and 5, and enter. And then I'm going to go to my list 2, and I'm going to type in the numbers that I had there on that particular list. And it was 0.646, enter, 0.222, enter, 0.087, enter, 0.025, enter, 0.013, enter, and 0.006. Oops, got a 0. Okay, so what I did is enter the numbers that I had there on my list. So I'm going to show you one more thing just to make sure that we're all good. So if I stop sharing this and come back to this thing right here where we're doing, I think you guys can see the test again. And so again, all I did here, guys, is just enter these numbers in my calculator, and the top numbers here, those numbers were for my list 1, and these numbers right here were for my list 2. Okay. Now, the reason why I wanted to do that is because for the questions that it's asked me to find, like it's asked me to find the mean, it's asked me to find the variance and the standard deviation. And somebody had asked me this problem the other day. That's why there's already some answers. Oops. Hold on, guys, my pen freezes up. That's why we have some answers here already, okay? So I'm going to come back to my calculator so I can show you how it is I'm going to do this. Let's see. Let me calculator. Sorry, I know it's a little tedious kind of going back and forth, but I think, there we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit my stat button again. Calculate, and I'm going to calculate my 1 variable stats. Okay, now if you're using the app, you're going to do this exactly the same way I'm doing it. And if you're using a calculator, this is an older model of a calculator, guys. This is an 83 or an 83 plus. Some of the 84s actually have a little bit of a different display. I'm going to see if the one that I have here
Because I've got the 84 plus. I was
Uh-huh.
trying to do that section. I
Uh-huh.
couldn't get the L1 comma L2, so that completely threw me out of whack.
We're going to see if we can do it. If we can do it so it works a little bit better. I'm going to try it. I have another calculator here, and I want to see if this is going to work on this one. Okay, it's not working on that one. Okay, it's still coming out the same way, but I'll show you right now. Let me see. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to hit my parentheses, and I'm going to go list 1, comma, list 2. So the way I'm doing that is I'm hitting the second button, and then the number 1, because that's where my L1 is, and then the second button, and then L2, because that's the number 2, because that's where my list is. And then I'm going to close off my parentheses, which was right there. And then I'm going to hit enter. And I want you to notice here. So it's giving me a couple of numbers. So if you notice this number right here, 0.55555, that is my average, right? That's my X bar is my average. So on a piece of paper somewhere, I'm just going to write some of these numbers down. And so let me see if I can write it down here. So I have 0.55. I want you to notice, let me see, this number right here, that it looks like a little funny 0 with an X, that is my standard deviation. And the number that I'm coming up with is 0.92, okay? And so now those are the only two numbers I'm gonna write down for right now. I'm gonna come back to my test, or my review, I'm sorry. And those of you who your calculator looks a little different, we'll figure that out in a little bit. So here we have the average. And if I round it to 1 decimal place, remember I wrote down 0.55? So if I round that to 1 decimal place, wouldn't that be 0.6?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how we're coming up with a 0.6 right here. So there's my 0.6. The other number we had on our calculator was sigma x, which was 0.92. That's going to be my standard deviation. And again, it's telling me to round it to 1 decimal place. So 1 decimal place, this would be my 0.9. Now look at the variance. The variance is sigma squared. So sigma squared would be, take your calculator and take 0.92, or if you wanted to, because we've already rounded it to 1 decimal place, you can take 0.9 and you're going to square it, and that's going to give you 0.81. And again, if it tells me to round to 1 decimal place, there's my 0.8. Okay. All right, so now that we have that, let's see if we can figure out what some of these things mean. Okay, so first question, does anybody know what this symbol here stands for, the first one? What is this funny looking U stand for?
Mu.
Right, okay, but do you know what does mu tell me? Anyone know? I heard somebody put something in the chat.
Average.
The average, right? Good. It tells me the average. Very good. The mean. Excellent. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I saw Melanie typed it in. She put the mean. The mean is the average. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is when I look at my choices. The average needs to be 0.6. So I already know that B is not a good choice, and I know that D is not a good choice. So the only two choices is either A or C. Look what it tells me. The standard deviation. Guys, here my standard deviation is 0. And so that's why we knew that the proper answer was going to be C. Okay. Now I know some of you had an issue with your calculator. So let me see. I'm going to stop sharing this part right here. And I'm going to come back to this, and I think you guys can see me. Those of you who were having an issue with the calculator, does anybody have their calculator where it wasn't working out like the way I did mine? Like Gilbert, did yours work the same way or no?
No, mine was completely different.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Did you make those two lists right now?
I have it saved from a previous list.
Okay, so do me a favor. Can you do this so we can see your calculator? And what I want you to do for me, if you have those same two lists, can you just put it up here, like show us with your camera so that we, I don't know if, guys, can you all see Gilbert?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see, okay, perfect. Can you just show us, Gilbert? I'm trying to think, I have another one here somewhere. Okay, perfect, excellent. So Gilbert, do me a favor, go ahead and hit stat again. And then hit calculate. And hit stats.
I think I'm.
Okay. Okay, so guys, do y'all see can y'all see Gilbert's screen? So it
Yeah.
has list one. Okay. So Gilbert, what I want you to do, where it says frequent list, you're going to use your down arrow to go to the frequency list, and you're going to type in L2. So use your little down arrow. You should be, when you get to the frequency list part, do the, what is it, the second, and then the L2, number 2, and then hit the calculate and tell me if it worked. Okay, so you had some different numbers, right? Is that what it was?
I had a previous list that I hadn't cleared out.
Okay, but that's how you're going to get yours to work. So
Okay.
what you're going to do is your first number the list 1 should already be there, and under the frequency list is where you're going to put your list 2.
Okay.
And perfect.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. Did anybody else have a similar issue like what Gilbert had on their calculator?
I did, but then like I looked at it again, and now I'm inputting the list.
Okay. So so Guillermo, let me know if it works for you, and if it doesn't, I guess if it works for you, perfect. If it doesn't, let us know and we can see if we can figure it out. I have another calculator right here, and I'm going to try to. Yeah, I'm going to take these batteries out, and I'm going to put the other ones in, and I'll show you guys the same type.
Okay, so I inputted the amounts, right?
You did the 2 lists?
Yeah.
Okay, and then so now you're going to go to you're going to calculate, you're going to go to stats button, you're going to hit calculate, and
Okay. One
variable stats. Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
And then you hold up your calculator to the camera so we can see what it looks like.
Yeah. Let's see if I can show you.
Oh man, that's a different app?
Yeah, it's it was calculator X or something like that. It's a T84.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna see if I might have that same one on my phone. Let me see. Unless I may have erased it. Okay, I'm sorry. So when you have yours, open up parentheses and type in 1, L2, and then close your parentheses. And let me know if that works.
I go to L1.
Yes. And then comma L2, and then close your parentheses.
Okay. It's not letting me or anything.
Is that letting you do that?
No, I guess I'd rather get a different app or something that would.
Yeah. Let me show you real quick. Let me see. And I'll tell you what I'm gonna. I think. Let me double check. I'm gonna see if I still have. Oops. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna send a picture right now to remind of the app that I'm using, so that everybody. Oops. Sorry about that. So that everybody will have access to it. This is the app. Boom. Okay, and it should be going through right now. Okay, so guys, let's see. To our review. So we did that problem. It was an excellent question. I'm glad you guys asked it. Okay, so what about number 12 or number 13? Anyone have any questions on either number 12 or number 13 or both or whatever? I mean, I'm happy to answer whatever questions you may have.
The only one I asked with 13 and 14, both of them are like similar.
Okay,
13.
13. Okay, so let's take a look at number 13, and we're going to see if we can't figure this one out. Okay, so guys, number 13 says 54% of U.S. adults have very little confidence in newspapers. To randomly select 10 U.S. adults, find the probability that the number of U.S. adults who have very little confidence in newspapers, we're going to do part A first. Exactly 5. Okay, so in this particular problem, I want to think of what my N is. My N is going to be telling me the number of people that we are selecting. So how many people did we select? 10, right? Okay, so my N is going to be the number 10. Okay. Now we're going to look for the probability that they have little confidence in newspapers. Well, it's 54%. So remember, as a decimal, 4% would be the number 0.54, right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out find the probability of U.S. adults who have very little confidence in newspapers is exactly 5. So this is telling me that my X, excuse me. So guys, this is going to be one of those binomial distributions, binomial probabilities. So I'm going to use the Binomial Pdf, okay? And I'm going to explain why I'm using the PDF. Okay, the PDF is going to be when we're trying to find exactly one particular number. So it's exactly 5, exactly 2, exactly 9, something along those lines, okay? Now, when we're doing this on our calculator, there's going to be 3 numbers we're going to have to enter in. The first one is going to be N. The second one is going to be P. And the last one is going to be X. So the only thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to go Binomial Pdf with 10, 0.50, and 5. Okay, so guys, again, whether you're using the app or whether you're using the actual calculator like what Gilbert's using, or some of you also were using a calculator as well, that's fine. We're going to work exactly the same way. So what I'm going to do, I think you guys can see my calculator now. I'm going to turn it back on. Let me clear all this business out. So the way I'm going to get there, I'm going to go second vars, and I'm down until I see Binomial Pdf. Oh, I passed it right here. Binomial Pdf, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so we said the first number should be 10, comma, 0.50, comma, and in this case 5 because we're looking for exactly 5. Close off my parentheses. I'm going to hit enter, and the number that I'm coming up with is 0.2383. And so when I come back to my so right here, it said to round to 3 decimal places, and we said 0.2383, so it would be 0.238, right? Okay. So far, are we good with part A?
It was good.
A is good. Okay, now let's do part B. Part B says at least 6. Okay, so I'm going to move my screen over a little bit where I have a little bit more room. Okay, so remember what at least 6 means. At least 6 is the same thing as saying 6 or more.
I never got the message over the. I guess it didn't go through.
On the app or whatever? On the remind? Let me show you one more time. Let me see. Like this. Here we go. And let me stop sharing this. Let me come back here. And okay, I think you can see me. So
Oh, that's
this
right.
is the
Okay.
here. It's called Graph and Calc 83. So you have an iPad?
Yeah.
It should be free. It should be a free app. I think it was free. I mean, I don't remember, but if you had to pay anything, it was $5, $6. It wasn't anything too expensive.
I have it and it was free for me.
Okay, good. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's
Perfect.
like I had it on my phone, broke. So I'm expecting another one, and I forgot which app it was. So I just like, I'll use this one.
Okay, so let's come back to where we were. I'm glad we got that taken care of. Let's come back here. Okay, so 6. Remember what we said. This means 6 or more. So what we would really be doing is we'd be saying, look, can we find the probability of 6 people or 7 people or 8 or 9 people or 10 people? And I would have to stop at 10 because we were only, asking 10 people, right? And guys, I could do this problem by doing the same thing part A. I would just have to do it 5 times. I'd have to do it 1 for 6, 1 for 7, 1 for 8, 1 for 9, 1 for 10, and then take those numbers and add them up. Okay. Now, there is something on our calculator called the Binomial Cdf. And what the letter C stands for is cumulative, means to add them all up. Okay. When it's doing the cumulative feature, it's adding them from 0 to 1 to 2, up like that. It's adding them from 0 all the way up. But notice where we want to start at. We actually want to start at 6 and go to 10. So the reason why I'm going to use the Binomial Cdf is because if we wanted to find the probability of at least 6 or more, we could find what would be the probability of 5 less. So if I'm going to do the probability or less, what we could do is we could say, look, why don't we do 1 minus 5 or less? Means we're going to accumulate 0 all the way to 5. So I'm going to go 1 minus my binomial CDF, and I'm still going to have those same 3 numbers, guys. I'm still going to have n, I'm going to have p, and I'm going to have x. And if you remember, n was 10, p was 0.54, but because I'm doing 5 or less, this is going to be 5. Okay, so I'm going to write this in my calculator exactly as I put it in that box. Okay, so look, let me show you how I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop sharing this part here. I'm going to come back to this business. I'm going to get my calculator going again. I'm going to turn it back on because it keeps turning off. There we go. So remember what I had? I had 1 minus second vars. I'm going to scroll down till I hit Binomial CDF. Right there, I'm going to hit enter. And we had 10, comma, 0.54, comma, 5. Okay. And I'm going to hit enter. And the number that I'm coming up with is 0.4784. And I believe the directions on these problems told me to round to 3 decimal places. So to 3 decimal places, I should be writing 0.478. So, excuse me. So I'm going to stop sharing this right here. I'm going to come back to my review. And we said the answer was going to be 0.478. So right here, I'm going to write in 0.478. Okay. All right. Now, there is a part C. And again, I want to make sure that we're okay in how we're doing this part. Look what part C says. Part C, and it tells you right here, less than 4. Okay. So first off, let's think of what less than 4 means. Less than 4 is the same thing as saying less than or equal 3.
Okay, so what was the answer for
0.478?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I left like a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good. You're good. Okay, so look, less than or equal to 3, right? Less than 4 means the same thing as less than or equal to 3. So let's think about what is less than or equal to 3 means. It means we can have either nobody, or 1 person, or 2 persons, or 3 persons. You said right now, guys, if I'm going to add up from 0 all the way up, this is again when I use my binomial CDF, because again, C stands for cumulative, and I'm going to use my same numbers. I'm going to have 10, comma, 0.54, and what's the last number we're ending with? We're ending with 3, right? Yes. Okay. Now, guys, the one thing I want to mention here, notice I don't have the 1 minus, right? Because I'm not looking for 4 or more. I'm looking for 3 or less. Okay. So again, I'm going to come back to my calculator, and I'm going to share my screen again, get my calculator going here, turn it on. Oh, it's still on. Good. Okay, so I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to go second bars. I'm going to scroll down to my Binomial CDF right here. I'm going to hit enter. We're going to have 10, comma, 0.54, comma, and we stopped at 3. Now I'm going to hit enter. And the 3 decimal places, I should be coming up with 0.114.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I'm going to come back here and get this guy going. And we're going to say for part C, we're going to have 0.114. Okay. So, guys, when we were doing this problem, somebody had said 13 and 14 are kind of the same type of a problem. Okay. So I'm going to ask you all a question. So we just did number 13. I'll tell you what, we don't actually have to do all of 14. What I want to ask you for 14 is, could you tell me, number one, what are my numbers for n, and what are my numbers for p on number 14? Does anybody know what's my number for n?
The N would be 12. The P would
It
be
would be
142.
excellent. Boom. You guys are already halfway there. So n is 12, p is 42, right? Okay, so I'll tell you part A, which is finding the probability of exactly 3. Would I use binomial? Which one? PDF or CDF?
Yeah.
PDF, right? Okay, so to set it up, we will go binomial PDF, okay, and then we would type in what, 12, comma 0.42 and comma 3, and that's how we would do part A, right? We would have part A done like that. Okay. All right. Now I'll tell you what. Let's jump to part C. Let's jump to part C. We were looking for the probability that x is smaller than 2. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to part C, and it said, what's the probability that x is smaller than or equal to? I think it was smaller than or equal to. Yeah, smaller than or equal to 2. Okay, so remember what this means. This means the probability of 0, the probability of 1, and the probability of 2. And we're going to add those all up. So if I was going to add those all up, would I use binomial PDF or CDF?
CDF.
Very good. And we go binomial CDF, and our n would still be 12. My p would be 42, and we're stopping at what number? 2. Boom. And there would be my answer for part C, right? So whatever we got when we did this, that would be our answer for part C.
On the previous one that we did, at less than or equal to 3.
Okay, so the one that we did earlier said, if you notice here, it said, yeah, so notice how this one was written. This one said less than 4. But didn't we say that less than 4 is the same thing as saying less than or equal to what?
3.
3, right? Because if it's smaller than 4, it has to be 3 or less, right? Okay. This one is saying, look what it's saying. Actually, when I look at the directions here, look look what it says. It says at
No.
most 2. What does that mean? It cannot be more than 2. So if it can't be more than 2, it has to be 2 or less, right? Okay. And then look at part B. I'm going to erase some of this mess, guys, just because there is a lot of it here. And let's see. Look at what part B says. At least 4. Okay. At least 4. At least 4 means 4 or more, right? So wouldn't that be 4 and 5? And we're going to keep going all the way till we get to 12.
Yeah.
That's what 4 or more really means, right? So look, if I wanted to find this part here, couldn't we really do 1 minus the probability of x is smaller than or equal to 3?
Yeah.
Right? And I know how to do this part because smaller than or equal to 3 tells me to use my binomial Cdf. So I could go 1 minus my binomial Cdf, and my number's 12, and what was it, 0.42? And what's the number where we're stopping at here? 3, right? And I have to do all of this business right here. I got to do all, and so that's exactly how I would enter it in my calculator.
Right.
So guys,
it's like
it's a concept, right? So guys, when I taught this class last fall, it was a slightly different class in that, like, you guys either passed the TSI or you had high enough grades from high school, or maybe you had already taken Math 200 or whatever it happened to be. So when I taught it last fall, the students I had were not quote unquote college ready yet. They hadn't yet passed the TSI or whatever it was. And so we had to do some remediation, and part of that remediation was making sure that we really understood, what do the terms like at least 4 mean? Or what does it mean when we say less than 5? Less than 5 means 4 or less, right? And so I think one of the biggest things in doing problems like 13 and 14 that we just did right now, a big part of those problems is just making sure that we understand, what is it asking me to do? What do those words mean, okay? So when you're doing problems like 13 and 14, I think all of us are going to say exactly 3 or exactly 5 is very easy to understand. But sometimes maybe when we get to like at least 4, what does that really mean? Or what does at most 2 mean? At most 2 really means 2 or less, right? So like if I said, I'm 47 and my clock is ticking and I want to have some kids, but I want to have 2 kids. So what would that mean? That would mean that I don't want to have any more than 2. So I'd be happy with 2 kids, or I'd be happy with 1 kid, but I don't want more than 2, right? That's what that sort of kind of terminology means, right? Yeah.
You'd probably be happy with no kids.
And then you're gonna be with no kids, right? So, or I'd be happy with no kids, right? Okay, pues sabes qué, but that's just how it worked out. That's okay. All right. So guys, let me scroll down here. Any questions about 15 or 16 or 17? And so one thing I do want to mention, guys, look at 15 and look at number 17. 17, what I like at least about these problems is it's telling me what to use, right? Here we go. We use the Poisson distribution, right? So at least I know, when I get to a problem like that, if it tells me use the Poisson distribution, then that's exactly what it is I'm going to do, right? Does that make sense? All right. So guys, let me keep scrolling then. Okay. Anybody have any questions on number 18?
I know I didn't finish this section of my review, so
Okay,
there's some that I'm having trouble with, and then I think for this one I use the calculator.
Okay, you said, just to give you a heads up, on this problem here, actually, on a lot of these problems we're going to do, like they're still left in the review, you can use either one. You can use either your calculator or you can use a table. The one thing I want to mention, whether I'm using my calculator or my table, the calculator always tell me how to find the area
To the left.
So all we're going to do is we're going to look for a z-value of 0.85. So when I printed this thing out, guys, it actually printed out the table for you. If you notice when you're doing the problems, like on my math lab, when you click on this thing right here, the table will pop up. Okay, so you're going to have access to that table. Like if this, like I'm just going to make this up, if this problem was on your test and you like using the table, you could just click on the table and the table is going to pop up for you. Okay. I'm going to show you two ways. I'll show you how to do it on the calculator, and I'll show you how to do it on the table. So we're going to look for the z-value of 0.85. So we notice all these z-values here are negative. I want to get to when the z-values are positive. And we want 0.85. So we notice here's 0.8, and here's 0.05. So when I put those numbers together, this is where they meet. They meet at 0.0823. So my answer for this one here is going to be what was it? I think it was 0.8023. Yes. Sorry, guys. 23. That's how I would do it if I was using my table, right? Forward, you can see exactly how it's done. Now, if you were going to use your calculator, let me pull up my calculator so you can see. Let's go here. Actually, you know what? Before I do the calculator. So I want you to think about if I'm going to use my calculator. We're going to stop at 0.85, right? Because we're looking for the area to the left. If I keep going all the way to the left over here, I'm basically going to go all the way like towards negative infinity, but I can't really enter that in on my calculator. So we usually start off with, like, say, negative a whole bunch of nines, right? So on my calculator, what I'm going to do is here for you guys. Okay. All right. So I'm going to clear this out, and I'm going to go second vars. I'm going to go to my normal CDF. Remember, the reason for C, guys, C stands for cumulative, okay? So when you do that, you're basically going to enter in two numbers. One of them is going to be your lower number, and one's going to be the upper number. So the lower number, if you notice when I wrote it on my paper, was negative. I just put a few nines there, right? Comma, and then we stopped at z value of 0.85, and I'm going to. And if you notice, we're coming up with 0.8023, which was the same thing that we had when we used the table, right? So you get to decide which method do you enjoy using, which way do you like doing it better? Do you like using the table? Do you like using the calculator? Last fall, obviously before this pandemic hit, I was in class every Tuesday and Thursday night so I could see all my students. And I had people who really liked the table, and I had people who really liked the calculator. And I had people who said, you know what, sometimes it's easier for me to use one, and it's sometimes easier for me to use the other one. The right answer is the one that works for you. Okay, so whichever way you decide you want to use it, that's perfectly fine, okay? Alrighty. Okay, so that was number 18. We could see we're still coming up with the same answer. Guys, any questions about, let's see, let me keep scrolling. What about 19? Are we okay on 19?
That's going to be
Yes, this is going to be the opposite. So we're going to go from 0.285 all the way to the right. So if I was doing this on my calculator, that's how I would do it, right? So I would go second, and then my vars, and then normal, CDF, and 2.0, and we're going to end at 999. So guys, one thing I do want to mention also, the area under the curve is supposed to be 1, right? Oops. The curve is supposed to be 1, and Let me see. Yeah, the area under the curve is supposed to be 1. I'm sorry, I lost my spot. Here we go. The area under the curve is supposed to be 1. So if I look at this area here, it's going to be pretty small, right? That number should be a pretty small number because it's just a very tiny spot, right? So guys, I want to show you exactly how you would do it, okay? How would you do this if you were doing this on the table? If you're doing this on the table, remember, my table always tells me the area to the left, right? So if I use my table, I would actually be finding that area. So I would go to 2.05, what was that? So 2.0, here's 5, and the number that we'd be coming up would be 0.9798. Told me was the area that we had here was 0.9798. And if we wanted to find, this area, we know that the whole area is going to be 1. So I would say, what is 1 minus 0.9798? And by the way, did anybody happen to do this problem on your calculator and come up with a number? No? Okay, let me see. I'm going to do it right here real quick, guys. Let me see. I'm just using my regular.
It's 0.020 if you round off to.
0.0202.
Yes.
So guys, if you used your app or your calculator and you did this, you came up with the same thing. And if you did it using the table and subtracted, you're going to come up with the same thing. Okay, so it's really entirely up to you to decide which way you like doing it. Okay.
So, sir, for these, we always use for these type of questions, we always use the CDF.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, excellent question. Yes, guys, very good question. On all of these, we're always going to use the CDF. We're always going to use the CDF. That's correct. Excellent.
For number
excellent
19, did you so
yeah, I had because remember when I'm using my table, remember the area
to the left.
I used when I went to my table for 2.05. Look at the number that I came up with. I came 98, right? So that was here 97, 98. So if I wanted to find the area of the blue part, I'm going to have to, and that's how we came up with the 0.0202.
See, that's the stuff that's going to the test.
Okay, so remember, what is the table always tells you the area which way?
Yeah, to the left.
To the left, right? Look at our particular problem. Are we looking for the area to the left, or are we looking for the area to the right?
The left.
But if you look right here, we're actually looking for the area to the right. So if I use because that's the part that's shaded, right? So if I'm looking for the area to the right, then I can find the area to the left and do 1 minus that. Or if you know what your lower number and your upper number are, you can just use the calculator, right, and do the normal CDF. And somebody asked right now, I didn't catch who it was, but anytime you're going to use your calculator for these problems, guys, it's always going to be the normal CDF. It's always going to be the C1.
If you do it on the calculator, you don't have to subtract from 1.
That's right, because you're putting your lower number and your upper number in there.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Yep. Excellent questions. Okay, so look, let me do this. What about, are you guys okay with these problems? You want to do another one? Are you good?
This one, if we do it on the calculator, it's easy.
Yeah,
right?
because we're going to go normal, yes. CDF, right? What's my lower number going to be?
0.7.
Negative 0.7, 0.7, comma, and my upper number is going to be
1.6.
Boom.
Yep. So then you get 0.7032.
There you go.
It says
0.7032, yeah. And you're always, all these problems, guys, you're always going to round them to how many decimal places?
4.
4, yeah.
Whatever it tells you.
Yeah, and exactly, whatever it tells you, that's right. Excellent, perfect. Okay, so let's see. Let me keep scrolling here. Okay, so guys, let me ask you a question. Is number 20 any different from number 21?
They're the same.
They're the same, right? The only thing they didn't do, they didn't draw the picture. But look at the two numbers they're telling me. One of them is going to be at z equals 0, and one of them is going to be at z equals 0.20, what?
9.
29. So we would do it exactly like the way we did the other one. Here's my lower number, here's my upper number, right? So yeah, number 21 is exactly the same. So I've been to have a whole lot of problems like this on your test, right? Because you know these are going to be easy breezy cover gold to do.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
Those are the best ones, right? Yeah, guys. Last fall, when we did this class, put a bunch like that, put a bunch like that. All right. How do you guys feel about number 22? Anyone have any questions about number 22?
No, those were, for me, they were easy.
They were okay.
Watch me get them all wrong.
How do you do it in the calculator? Just
Yeah, let's go through 22. So it says here, a standardized exam scores are normally distributed. In a recent year, a mean test score was 1497 and the standard deviation was 320. The test scores for the 4 students selected at random are, and it gives me the 4 scores there. It says find the z-scores. So guys, I'm actually going to pull something up for y'all real quick so you can see what I'm referring to. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. And okay, let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. All right, perfect. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen here, guys, and I am going to share a different one with you all. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. So what I'm sharing with you guys here, I think you guys can see this now, is, yes, the formula sheet. Okay, so this is a formula sheet that you guys are going to be able to use for, where is it? Here we go. You're going to be able to use for the test. So let's see, again, just guys, remember the little symbol mu is our mean. This is our variance, our standard deviation. We don't have any I didn't put any expected values on there, but I just left the formula on there. But here's like my binomial Pdf, the NPX, right? CDF, that kind of business. Here is how I change this piece right here is how I change my X values to Z scores. Okay. And somebody had asked me a problem similar to this other day, and I had sent this part out, but I did put it in the formula sheet so that if we have a problem like this, we can see exactly what this stuff really means. Okay. So I'm going to use this formula right here, and then once I get my answers, I'm going to come back and I'll refer to this little chart here, okay? So let me stop sharing this. Let me come back here and share what I want to share with you guys, which was the actual problems. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write down my formula. So X is equal, E is equal to X minus mu divided by my standard deviation. Okay, so in this particular problem here, remember mu for my mean. So this is 1497. And then it told us that our standard deviation was the number 320, right? Okay, so the first one we have is when the X value is 1900. So these numbers here, guys, those are my X values, okay? And then we're going to figure out how to find the Z-scores. So when I do part A, the X value we have is 1900 minus U, which is 1497, all divided by 320. Now, I'm going to give you a suggestion. Write the numerator in parentheses so that you can type it in exactly as you see it. So let me get this thing going again? Here we go. Okay, so let me come back to my calculator so I can show you exactly what it is I'm going to do. Okay, and so I'm going to put parentheses, and we had 1900 minus, what was the score, 1497
97.
Divided by, was it 320?
320.
There you go. Thank you, sir. So notice how, guys, notice how I put it exactly like that in parentheses. If I don't put it in parentheses, you're going to get the wrong answer. It's going to, but if you don't do parentheses, it's going to say, what is 1497 divided by 320? And then 1800, when you really want to do that subtraction part first.
Easier on the regular calculator. Seems
Okay.
to be easier.
Okay. So notice, guys, on these problems here, like Aurora said, what are we going to round to? Whatever it tells me to round to, right? And so in my particular problem, it's telling me to round to 2 decimal places. So my question to you guys, 1.259, would I write it as 1.25 or
1.26.
1.26? 1.26. Excellent. Perfect. So let me come back here. Let's get to this thing here, and we're going to, right here, guys, we're going to write in 1.26. So look, we did the first one, right? Let's keep doing the rest of these problems. I mean, the process is going to be the same. So when I get to part B, I want you to notice here in part B, the x value we have is 1240. So we're going to do it the same way. We're going to go 1240 minus 1497, and we're going to divide it by 320. And guys, I'm just, instead of me pulling up the calculator every time, I'm just going to do this here on my calculator. We did the first one already. So I think we got an idea. 1240 is 1497, and then we're dividing it by 320. And if I go to 2 decimal places, did anybody come up with a negative 0.80?
Negative 0.80.
Perfect. Right there. Okay. And let's do part C. So part C, we're going to take 2210 minus 1497. We're going to divide all of this by 320. So 2210 minus 1497 divided by 320. And guys, if you're doing this again on your calculator, are you coming up with 2.23?
2.23.
Perfect. Excellent. And then we still have one last one. Let's do part D as in dog. And so we're going to take, let me see, what's the number we have here? 1400. So we're going to take 1400 minus 1497, and we're going to divide it by 320. So 1400 minus 1497, and we're going to divide that by 320. And did you all come up with?
Negative 0.30.
There you go. Negative 0.30. Okay, so we were able to find each of our numbers here. Okay, so I want you to notice these are the numbers that I have right here: 1.26, 0.80, and 0.30. Now there is a part B to it, and it says which values, if any, are unusual. Select the correct choice below, and if in the answer box with your choice. Okay, so guys, I'm going to come back and I'm going to share with you guys the formula sheet again, okay? Here we go. Okay, so here's my formula sheet, and I want you to look at, can you all see that? Can you all just see that I circled it?
Yes.
Okay, that's the part that I'm going to look at. So I want you to look at, remember, we're looking for unusual scores. So notice where unusual scores come into play. If they're anywhere between -2 and -3, or anywhere between 2 and 3. So when I look at those z values that we came up with, they were either between -2 and -3 or between 2 and 3. And I want to say that we did. I want to say that when we did our problem, we came up with, yeah, this one right here. Okay, so usual score was the 2210. And sometimes people say, well, why am I not going to write the 2.23? This z-score is unusual because it came up between a number between 2 and 3. But how did we get that z-score? We got that z-score from using the number 2210. Okay, so that's why we would put that one for part A. So that would be my answer here. Now, guys, if I didn't come up with any numbers bigger than between 2 and 3 or -2 and -3, then we just wouldn't have had any. We would have said none of the values are unusual. So very good question. I'm glad that you guys asked that one. I think it was an excellent question to go over. Good, very good. Okay, so let me keep scrolling up here. And guys, wouldn't number 23 be the same type of problem?
Yes, sir.
Right? It's going to be exactly the same thing as number 22, right? And this one here, the numbers are even smaller, so it, hopefully it'd be a little easier to do. But again, we're using our calculator for all of these, and then again, we would find anything if they were unusual or not. And the way I would find which ones are unusual is by using that little chart that was in my formula sheet. So guys, before I go on, remember, I put that formula sheet, I had sent it out to you all today. It's in the Week 9 folder, it's in the Week 10 folder. I included it in today's announcement that I sent through Blackboard. So you can definitely use that formula sheet. I definitely encourage you to use it because I think it's going to be super, super helpful. All right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any questions? What about 24 or 25? Anyone have any questions about these?
No.
Are we good? Are we okay on 24 and 25?
Yes, sir.
We're good so far? Okay, perfect. Let's see. So let me keep scrolling here then. 26. Anyone have any questions about number 26? You might sure we're okay? Or are you guys okay with it?
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I got it, but I guess I had to review it. Let me see.
Okay, I'll tell you what, guys.
Numbers,
Let me.
right? Review?
I'm sorry.
Everyone has different numbers for the review.
Yeah. So what I did is when I printed this out, that's the only thing that changes. So guys, that's why I'm saying that when I pull up my problems, my numbers might be slightly different from yours, but again, that's what my math lab does. All my math lab does is just change the numbers, right? Yeah. So let's put it this way, right? I pulled these problems from my review, right? When I did it under like my name, my account, or whatever. So when you like you said, your numbers might be slightly different, but tomorrow night or Thursday, whenever you all signed up for the test, you might see these same exact numbers, right? That I'm doing here, that might be just the problem that you end up getting. But you're right, everybody's numbers are slightly different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Excellent question. Yeah, of course. So guys, give me 1 second. I want to get a little bit more water, and I'll be right back. And then we can figure out if y'all want me to go through number 26, we can do it. If y'all are okay with it, then we can
Maybe
move along. Okay.
part of it.
Chris, grab some water real quick, and we'll come back and we'll do like part A or B or something like that. Okay, but we'll get it done.
Okay.
All right. Hold on.
I have more trouble with the easier ones, guys. How about you? How about you all?
No, mine were just the least and more than, and actually those are the ones that give me problems.
Okay, so let's see, guys. I'm back here. Let's see if we can do part A, and we'll see if we can set this up. So it says, in a recent study on world happiness, participants were asked to evaluate their current lives on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10, represents the worst possible life and 10 represents the best possible life. The responses were normally distributed, with a mean of 4.7, a standard deviation of 2.3. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do here, we know that our mu is 4.7. and our standard deviation is 2.3. Part A says, find the probability the randomly selected participant's response was less than 4. Okay, so they're asking us, can we find the probability that X is less than 4? We can definitely do that. What we're going to do first is we're going to convert that X value to a Z-score. So we're going to do just like we did in problem, whatever it was, 21 or 22 a little while ago. And we're going to take this X value of 4. We're going to go minus 4.7. I'm going to put that in parentheses. I'm going to divide it by 2.3. And so I'm going to take my calculator real quick. I'm going to say, what's 4 minus 4.7? And then I'm going to divide it by 2.3. And I'm coming up with a negative 30. Okay. So now, what does that mean? All that means now, guys, is that what's the probability? Instead of saying X is less than 4, we're going to say Z is less than negative 0.30. Now, I want us to get a visual of what does this mean. Here is my normal curve. Here's 0. Right here is negative 0.30. And we're looking for when is Z going to be smaller than that, which means I'm looking for the area to the left of my curve. Okay?
CDF.
So that's right. If we're going to use our calculator, we're going to say, let's go with normal. Oops. Come on, pen. CDF. Okay. What is my lower number going to be if I'm all the way over here?
Negative
Anyone know?
999.
Perfect. You got it. Negative 999. And then, comma, negative 0.30.
0.30.
And that'll be our answer. So if I take my calculator, I do it here because I got it right
38,
here.
21.
Good. Excellent. And you came up with negative 38.21, right? That's what you said? I'm sorry, 0.3821?
3821.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. And so there's my answer for part A, right? Okay. Now, guys, I want to set up part B for you guys so that you can see how part B would be done. And I want you to notice, look what it's telling me. It says the response is between 4 and 6. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over a little bit. If the response is between 4 and 6, that means that my X value is between 4 and 6. And we want to convert each of these X values to Z-scores. Well, we just converted 4 to a Z-score. And we came up with the negative 0.30. Now, the one we need to come up with is we need to figure out what would 6 look like as a Z-score. So let's do that. Let's say Z is going to be equal to 6 minus, it was 4.7 divided by 2.3, right? And so if I take 6 minus 4.7 divided by 2.3, I'm coming up with like 0.57 is the number that I'm coming up with. So now, 0.57. So let's get a visual. What does that mean? Here's my normal curve, right? Here's 0. We said right over here was negative 0.30. Right about here is going to be 0.57. We're looking for the area in the middle. And a little while ago, didn't we say, oh yeah, these are easy to do when we have it on the calculator? Because aren't we just going to go CDF? And what's my lower number going to be here?
0.30.
There you go.
7.
There you go. And there's going to be your answer. And you're going to say, wow, I never knew stats was going to be this easy to do.
Today.
but hopefully, I mean, I'm kind of kidding with you guys because I know what it's like to be in your shoes. But I'm also kind of hoping that as we're going through this, you're like, okay, you know what? This isn't so bad. Now I know what to do. Now I'm kind of getting a better picture of what's going on, right? So yeah, this is definitely good. This is definitely good. And then, guys, for part C, wouldn't we do? Let me come back all the way over here. For part C, we would do the same thing, except now look what it's asking me to do. It's asking me to find the probability that x is greater than 8, right? So remember, I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna say, okay, what is 8 minus 4.7 divided by 3.2, right?
Yeah.
So
Normal CDF.
that's right. Oops. 0.7 divided by 3.2, and the number that I came up with was z was like 1.03 is what I came up with. So when I would do this part here, the probability that z is greater than 1.03, if I want to get a visual, just a picture of what does that really mean, I'm going to draw my picture real small because I kind of ran out of room. Here's 0, say here's 1.03. Look at the way my arrow is pointing. I'm looking for the area which way?
To the right.
Right. So I would go normal.
CDF.
CDF, right? Oops, I forgot the D. CDF.
1.03.
1.03, and there you go. And then a whole bunch of 9s, and then we would find our answer, right? And guys, when we get to the last part, the part D to the question or whatever it is, and it's saying, do we have any unusual parts? So unusual parts would be when the probability is going to be less than 0.05. So we know this one is not less than 0.05. I don't know what the probability was for here, and I don't know what it is for here, but if any of these numbers are smaller than 0.05, then we would say it's, A, or it's B, or it's C, or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's pretty much, that's pretty much all it is we were trying to do there. Yeah. All right. Guys, let me ask you a question. Is there any difference in problem 26 or problem 27? It's the same problem, right?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. And is 8 pretty much the same thing as well? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Somebody had a question?
28, I think I worked on it and I got the answer, but I don't know. I'm still confused.
Okay.
Last part of I'm stuck at. I don't know why. I haven't finished it.
I'll tell you what. Let's do 28, and then we can move to some of those last problems and see if we're okay there. Okay. So I want to show you on 28. Look what it's telling me. It's telling me that my x values are between 200 and what? 350?
350.
Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to find the z values, right? Yeah. So remember, it's x minus mu over sigma, right? Here's my mu and here's my sigma, right?
So it'll be 200.
So let's do very minus 508 by 106. Excellent. Perfect. And then I could have stayed home. You already know. I guess that doesn't work right now in the middle of this thing, right? Because I would always say that in class. I could have stayed home. You guys know what to do. But I guess we're all at home. So, and if I convert it to a decimal, did you come up with like negative 2.91?
I'm barely gonna 200 minus 508 divided by 106. Yes, negative 2.91.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to do the same thing again. And now
yes.
Okay, so we're going to go 350 minus 508 divided by 106. And let me convert it to a decimal. Negative 1.49? Is this what you came up with?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay. So now look what we're going to do. We're going to say, okay, what's the probability that our z value is between 291 and negative 1.49, right? Here's my picture, and here's my 291, and here's our negative 1.49.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't we just go normal?
CDF. Mm-hmm.
CDF, and negative 2.91 and negative 1.49. And like Johnny Canales says, take it away. And you're ready to go.
0.66. 0.0663.
Yeah, 0.066.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So you came up with 0.0663, right? You all said? There you go. Excuse me. Excellent. Perfect, guys. Very good. So let's see. Were everyone okay with number 29, or was this the question that somebody had on 29?
I haven't done it. I don't know. I'm
So let's take a look. Let's take a look at these. So what I want to point out about these particular problems here, these problems are giving me the area, and we're trying to see if we can find the z-score. So remember when we did? I'm going to just kind of scroll over here real quick. We'll come back to it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. So when we did problems like, say, this one here, or we did a problem like, there was another one here, like, where is it? This one here. In these problems, we had the z-score, and we were looking for the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
In those problems, we had the z-score, and we were looking for the area. You're welcome, Roberto. I'm glad this is helping. So now what we're trying to do is we're going to go backwards. We know the area, and can we find the z-score? Okay, so the way I'm going to do these problems here, let me scroll back till we can get to what number we were on. It was like 28 or something like that, I think. Let me see. Oh, I passed it. 29. Okay, so what we're trying to do here, it says, use the standard normal table to find the z-score that corresponds to a cumulative area of 0.07157. If the area is not in the table, use the entry closest to the area. If the area is halfway between entries, use the z-score halfway between the corresponding z-values. Okay, so let me show you what I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you two ways. One way is with the table, one way is the calculator, and then you get to decide which way works best for you. So look at the area. It's 0.7157. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this table here, and I'm going to see, can I find that exact number that we had? 0.7, oh, I already forgot which number it was. 0.7517, was that the number?
Yes.
7. Okay, so I'm going to go 0.7157, and you know what, guys? It's right here. You see it? So what is the z value that we have? 0.57. 0.57. Yep. And that's how I would do it if I was using the table. Okay. Now you say, man, I really got to look through all those numbers to find the number that I'm looking for. Actually, you don't. The way you can do this also using your calculator is, you do this here. Okay, so here's my calculator. I'm going to clear my screen. And I'm going to go second vars. And I'm going to go to number 3. Do you see on number 3, do you see how it has inverse norm? INV norm?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to hit enter. And the number we had was 0.7157. And then I'm going to close off my parentheses, and I'm going to hit enter. And the number that I'm coming up with here, if I go to 2 decimal places, isn't it 0.57?
Yes.
And so, yeah. And so when I come back to this part right here, we say, well, look, that's the same number that we had. So we can do that using our calculator, right? We can figure this out using our calculator. Does that make more sense?
Yes, I prefer
Yeah.
the calculator.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do. It's just, usually a little bit more direct, right? So now, like if I take a look at this one here, it says find the indicated z-score for the graph to the right. Okay, so they're telling me that we're looking at the area to the left, and the area to the left is 0.2451. So on your calculator, guys, you're going to do the inverse norm of 0.2451, right? And you're going to say, how do I get to inverse norm? You're going to go second. So you're going to go second bars, and you're going to type in 0.2451, close off your parentheses. And did you come up with something like negative? We're going to go to only 2 decimal places. Negative 0.69?
Yes.
Yep.
For the z-score, right?
This is looking for the z-score. That's right. So what we're looking for here is what value of z, what I have to put there, the left was that number. Yeah, that's all we're doing there. Okay.
Okay.
So let me keep going and we'll see. We have some more. Yes, we got a couple of more. Okay, so guys, let's see if we can figure out how to do this one. This one's a little bit more complex, I would say. Okay. So think about the area under this curve. Isn't the area under the curve going to be equal to 1? Everybody agree with that? The area under the whole thing is going to be 1. Okay.
We
So
can't see. We can't see what you're looking at right now.
sorry, let me see.
It's
Sorry about that. Is it back up there or no?
yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we know the area under the whole thing here is equal to 1, right? Wouldn't you agree with me? Then that means the area under this part is going to be 0.5, and the area under that part is going to be 0.5?
Yes.
So if we know that the area that's shaded is this 0.4778, how do you think I would find the area in this a little bit? Wouldn't I say I got to take 0.5 minus 0.477, and that would tell me how much area is underneath that little piece right there? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, so I'm going to do this on my calculator. What is 0.5 minus 0.4778? Up with there is a 0.02. Oops, pen froze up. 2. Okay. So now, if I wanted to find the z-score that would tell me the area to the left here, I would do the same thing. I would say, let me use my calculator. Let me go to inverse norm of 0.0222. Okay. So I'm going to go second bars, inverse norm 222. I'm going to close it off. And did you come up with like a z-score of negative
2.01.
2.01?
Yes.
Okay. Here. On the problem, guys, it's asking me to find the z-scores, right? So it's asking me for 2 of them. Okay, now guys, this graph here happens to be symmetric. It's like a mirror, right? So if I know that, if we know that this one here is a negative 2.01, I'm sorry, 2.01, then this one here is going to be a positive 2.01. And that's how we're able to find our z-scores. Okay. So this was number 31.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this one required, I had to do a little thinking, right? We had to kind of take a little bit of a closer look at the picture to make sure we understood exactly what was going on. But once we did that, then we're able to figure it out. But it just required a little bit more thought than number 30, right?
So that one, all we have to do is apply minus the area.
Yes. So that we could find this area and then do my inverse norm for that little piece right there.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Okay, so guys, I'm going to keep kind of moving on here. Let's see. Z-score. Okay, and these are the last two problems I think we have. And so, like if I were thinking about, say, number 32, right? Here's my graph for 32, right? And it says, find a z-score that has 33% of the distribution, 33% of the distribution's area to the left. So that means that the area is 0.33. And we're looking for that z value, aren't we? So again, wouldn't I just go inverse norm of 0.33?
Would we? Yes.
Right? Well, yeah. I'm just trying to make sure that we're all okay. And let me ask you a question. Did you guys come up with a negative point, I would say to 2 decimal places? 0.44?
44?
Yeah.
That's negative 0.44?
Yes, ma'am, because I'm going inverse norm of 0.33. So I'm glad that you asked that question. So, you know, when I drew my picture here, I didn't draw it as probably as good as I should have, but I'm going to draw it again. Because I want y'all to get sort of an understanding, right? So remember, when the z-score here is 0, right? Remember what that means, that the area to the left is 0.5 and the area to the right is 0.5, right? And we had the area to the left being 0.33. So maybe right about here, this part of it would have been 0.33. So if I'm a little bit to the left, wouldn't my z value have to be what kind of number?
Yeah, negative.
Right, perfect. That's great. So now, so that, guys, knowing that tells you what kind of answer should I get, so that when we get a negative answer, we're like, so I was kid, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? So look, let's do number 33, and we're going to do it exactly the same way. So look, I'm going to draw my picture, right? Something like this. I know that when z here is in the middle, I know that this area is 0.5. I know that that area is 0.5. And then I want you to take a look at the problem. It says, find a z-score that has 76.4% of the distribution's area to the right. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to take a little bit more from here because I want the area to the right to be 0.764, right? Because it's supposed to be to the which way? Right. Okay, so the area over here is 0.764. Does anybody know what I find, say, this area? The green? There you go. 1 minus 0.764. Excellent, sir. Very good. So we're going to say 1 minus 0.764. And the number we're coming up with here, this area, should be 0.236. And then now, yeah, and then now, wouldn't we just say we're going to go, oops, wouldn't we just say we're going to go inverse norm of 0.236? And again, guys, if you notice, look what kind of value we should be coming up with. shouldn't we be coming up with a z-value that's going to be negative? Because we're to the left of that middle part. So second vars, inverse norm of 0.236. And yeah, negative 0.782.
Yeah.
And like I said, like Johnny Canales says, you got it, take it away.
Yep.
Right?
But how did you get? Like, can you go back to 32? Can you go back to 32?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did that point? Where did
Okay,
that come?
okay, so we did inverse norm.
Oh, okay.
And that's how we came up with that z-value of negative 0.44.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
Excellent.
Let me see. Let me try it. So if I go to second vars, I'm gonna
And then
do.
you got to go to inverse norm.
And
Yes, ma'am.
okay, I see. Negative 44.
You got it?
'Cause
Good. Excellent.
So when it's to the left, you don't need to subtract, but when it's to the right, you do.
That's right. So guys, I'm going to share one more thing with y'all, okay? So look, let me share one more thing with y'all here, because I want y'all to be able to see this. I agree, guys. I think, sometimes in doing these problems, it's, man, when do I do inverse norm and when do I do normal CDF and all that kind of business, right? So I want you to see something here. Let me see if I can get my pen to work. Oh, come on, don't be a butt. There we go. Okay, so I just boxed it in for you. So it says to find a z-score given the probability, what are we going to do? We're going to do the inverse norm. Think of what the tail means. The tail means the area which way? To the left, right? This is what we mean by the tail. The area to the left. And that's how I'm going to find that z-score. Yeah? We're okay then? We're good? All right, so guys, let me stop sharing this part with you here, and let me come back. And okay, so let me ask you a question. How do you feel now that we've gone through some of those problems? Y'all feel a little bit better? A little bit okay? Yeah. Okay, guys. So remember, there's only 15 questions on the test. If you haven't yet signed up for the test itself, please sign up. Right. Tomorrow, remember, it'll be tomorrow night, Wednesday night, from 6:30 to however long it takes us, and Wednesday morning at 11. I don't know if y'all remember this the last time or not, but people were trying to log in a little bit earlier, and it didn't let us log in until 6:30. I know it says 6:30, but when I set it up, I put it for 6. So you'll be able to log in a little bit before 6:30. Okay, it only lets me do like 30-minute increments, so I can either go 6 or 6:30 or 7 or 7:30. So I know I put 6:30 on there, but when I did the form, I actually did it for 6 so that you guys can sign in a little bit early, okay? And I'll be signed in too, and I'll send y'all a message on Remind saying, hey, I'm here if anybody wants to join in or whatever, and then we'll get started.
I actually work.
Okay, so
I don't get out till 7:30, and then I work from 7 to 7. So sometimes I get out later.
Okay. But you'll be able to sign in tomorrow night. I mean, when you get home, you think, or no?
I guess.
Okay.
Close to 8. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We'll figure it out. Don't you worry. We'll make sure that it's all good.
I had signed up for Thursday, but I think I'm going to take it tomorrow since I just did this today.
That sounds perfect, man. If you want, just do me a favor, Gilbert. Just change your name on the sign-in sheet.
I'll do that right now.
Just so that I know, because what I'm doing is I'm setting up for the test for the people who are on the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Okay, guys. Did anyone else have any other questions about anything at all? Y'all want to ask me about?
No, I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Guys, let me ask you all a question. Would you all want to do these kind of, I know here we are in week 10, right? But would y'all want to do a session like this maybe once a week to ask questions?
With it, as long as it's after 7 or Mondays and Fridays.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll send out a survey and I'll ask people, would they be interested in doing like a review session? Yes, Melanie says yes, it'd be helpful. And I'm thinking that maybe we can do something Monday nights or something like that. And really what I'll do is I'll just say, like, I'm not going to necessarily say, okay, guys, tonight I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, are you working on anything that you're struggling with? Is there a particular homework problem that you're not certain how to do? And then what I'll do is we'll set up a session like this. We'll pull up the problems, we'll work them out, and then I'll just share the video with everybody so that if anyone has questions, they know that they can do this. And maybe these kind of sessions will be more productive. I think, again, guys, I don't know about you guys, but I think the hardest part is really just setting the time aside to say, I'm going to do this on these days, or I'm going to do this on these days. And I think it's hard to kind of sometimes find that motivation. I want you all to know that I think you guys are doing great. Guys, this is week 10. After this week, we basically got like 4 or 5 weeks to go. You know, Thanksgiving, we're probably not going to do a whole lot around that week and stuff. So, you guys are doing great. I want you all to, excuse me, I want you all to finish strong, get those grades so that the holidays come around and you at least got 4 weeks off from school. And we want to just kind of keep trucking along here, okay? So I'll set something up. I'll send out a message, next week or something, and maybe we can start setting something up on Monday nights for a little bit, okay? So, guys, if you have any other questions, let me know. But if you don't, you're free to log off. I will this review session to YouTube so that anybody needs to watch it again, watch parts, y'all can do that.
Can you look at number 12? I just want to see if I have
On which one?
Number 12, when you scroll through it, I don't know. I didn't look at it.
Okay, let's take a look. Number 12, you said, right?
I just want to see it and see if I have.
Sure. Excuse me. Sorry. Here we go. This one here, number 12?
Find the probability that has less. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, I got that one.
So less than 2 cars. So aren't you going to do?
Just add those two. Yes. Okay.
You're going to add these. You're going to add these two and divide by the total. Right?
Yes.
Perfect. You got it.
Okay. So I go ahead and sign up for that test for tomorrow, even though I'm going to be late?
Yeah, go ahead and sign up for tomorrow night.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys, thank y'all for joining in. And if y'all got any questions tomorrow, send me a message on Reminder Pronto, and I'll get back to you, okay? I'm glad you're all doing well. Glad you're doing safe. Take care out there. Anything you need, let me know, guys. I'm right here.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it.
Bye-bye.